Story 1. Up until the age of 25, I did exactly zero exercise of any kind. I had a poor diet and ate a lot of junk food, ending up overweight at my worst point. Then I broke up with a very toxic ex after a 3-year relationship, which definitely contributed. I had all this free time all of a sudden, and I took up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm not over-exaggerating when I say that it completely changed my life. I went from zero exercise to basically exercising 6 out of 7 days of the week. I do jiu-jitsu 3 to 4 times a week, and I do lifting to supplement that 3 times a week. On top of that, I have a well-balanced diet that keeps me feeling good too. I'm 32 now and in the best shape of my life. I even had abs at one point, though they're hard to maintain. Here's the secret that no one tells you, and this applies to any new venture. Don't rely on motivation. It's good to get you started, but it doesn't burn bright forever. Hence why most New Year's resolutioners quit after a few months. Discipline is the word you are looking for. Make it part of your routine as much as brushing your teeth before bed. There'll be a point where it will actually feel weird not to work out or train. I went from the comically lazy guy in my family to the guy everyone sees as the fit one. Edit. I know who Jocko is, but I've never listened to any of his podcasts, for those who keep referencing that. Story 2. I was angry that I was broke. I was angry that I was unhireable. I was angry that I still had to depend on my parents for everything. I was angry that I was overweight. I was angry that I was depressed. I was in the store with my parents getting clothes because I hadn't replaced mine in so long. And my mom walked up to me with a pack of underwear and said, "You need new underwear." When she said this, there was a family nearby that glanced at me. This grown man towering over his parents, still being swaddled like a child. In that moment, I felt like the smallest person in the world. Here I was at 25, having my mom buy underwear for me because she had noticed how threadbare my underwear was. I was so embarrassed and so angry at my life that I vowed never to have her buy underwear for me again. Just to deviate for a few seconds, I did my own laundry at home, but obviously, when my mom was doing her laundry, she would pop in and grab my items when needed and noticed. It's not like I was sitting around doing nothing. I realized I was stuck in a rut. I was in a comfort zone with no expectations and no ambition. I needed a push, so I moved. I moved 1,000 miles away to live with my brother. Now, my brother is a hard worker. He does CrossFit and competes in triathlons and warrior races, all while working as a high-level executive at his company. Annoyingly ambitious and driven. He bluntly said to me, "You are not living here for free. If you don't pay rent, you're moving back in with mom and dad." He used his contacts at his church to get me an interview with a retail company. It was very low pay, but enough to get by. I worked there long enough to know how much I hated retail, so I went back to school and got a Bachelor of Science degree, which I paid for myself with loans I'm still paying back. I'm now in London working as a software engineer. Sure, I can't afford things like houses or cars. Not that I need one in London, but at least I buy my own underwear now. The only clothing I ask from my mom is a knitted scarf because mom's scarves are the best. Look, my life is still not perfect, but it's getting there. And it all started because I was so angry that I pushed myself out of my comfort zone. It's not easy, I won't lie. I had to juggle work, classes, and study. I survived on about 3 hours of sleep and 2-minute noodles every day. I had a breakdown because I failed a midterm in my first semester since I hadn't yet figured out how to juggle everything. I cried because my car broke down, and I had the equivalent of $30 in my account. And the city I used to live in didn't have decent transport links to my job and campus. So my brother helped me get it fixed. I had to sell off all my unnecessary possessions because I couldn't afford rent, food, and fuel 1 month. Life is hard, but it's survivable and manageable. You just have to be brave. Story 3. Start small. If possible, leave the environment where you feel lazy. Create a new routine. Go for a walk, to the gym, bike, run, kayak, or paraglide, even if only for just 10 minutes. That preparation time and effort will do wonders for you. The only thing you need to quit is the idea that you can't do something better for yourself. The only solution is to just do and continue to do. Find something outside of your routine and make it part of your routine. Being lazy is a choice, so don't choose it. You got this, we all got this. Story 4. Suffering. I lost a lot. It flipped my world upside down. I struggled for a long time, and more burdens kept getting added. Then I lost my dad. I started doing better but was still in bad shape. I hated the person I saw in the mirror every day. So I started therapy again, began eating better, and began working out. Then someone very important to me, actually the most important person I have left besides myself, recommended a book, The Power of Now. It all clicked. I started meditating at the same time I started reading. I've let go of the past. I've stopped focusing on the future. Instead, I just live for the moment we are in. For the first time that I can remember, I love myself. I don't recommend the suffering, but the other stuff might help. Story 5. I asked a friend to take me hiking when I was in a low time. I almost had an asthma attack on an easy hike. I had the thought, if I can get to the end, then I can get through this. It took me 3 tries over 3 months with exercising 4 days a week. Hiking became therapy. I could think through my problems and process them without being overwhelmed by the emotions because I could put it into my feet, if that makes sense. I could get it out and not just have it get to the surface and have to rebottle it again. I could let things go and think clearly when I was on the trail. That led me to seasonal outdoor work, and I didn't look back. I tried new things, went to new places, met new people, and made a lot of great memories. There's definitely a lot more to it, and I don't even want to think of all the mistakes I made along the way, but I'm very happy where I've ended up. Story 6. If you already feel miserable anyway, you have very little to lose by doing more productive things you don't like. That will benefit you weeks to months from now. And once you start being rewarded for your efforts, you'll start feeling better. I don't know if it's quite the answer you're looking for, but I used to be quite miserable and isolated. Being miserable left me mostly depending on video games and YouTube to acquire what little joy and fun I still felt I could get out of life. But even that was having diminishing returns, and I soon found myself barely enjoying even that. That's when I realized I was just pretty miserable in general at that point. It wasn't some big moment of realization of anything, but I just slowly started thinking to myself, if I'm miserable anyway, why don't I start doing things that would benefit me in the future? While I stumbled and struggled time and time again to properly commit more regularly to cardio and workouts, I made my baby steps towards it. A lot of it is doing something every day that your future self will be grateful for. After a while, I started to enjoy going for my runs every day. Once you find ways, especially as a lazy person, to make the task as easy as possible, you just start getting used to it. And the rewards start to come. Remember, it doesn't matter how slowly you go, you'll still be lapping everyone still sitting on the couch. I recommend having a cardio machine, motivational speech music in cheap wireless headphones, and comfortable shoes to get started running. It's always right there. You can stop early and not have to walk home if you're tired or it starts raining. Story 7. All the good options have already been stated. Working out for sure did help me. If you don't want to start working out right away, try running a few miles every morning. Eating well and cutting out sugar. I had my cat by my side at the moment I felt the loneliest. Just the sight of him could light me up. He is always so enthusiastic. Just resort to venting or therapy if you have no person who you can open up to. I started recording myself talking about my issues. And once you do that, hearing yourself can show how simple your issues were to solve. I don't know about your issues, but all I can say is you have all the power required to triumph over them. Have faith. Stay safe. Story 8. Started going to the gym once a week. Then that once a week became twice, 3, 4, and eventually 5 to 7 days a week. That then snowballed into my personal life with discipline through diet, wanting to be better, improving myself, and more. Sounds dumb, but the gym. Story 9. I started fishing. I'm not very good, but I'm outside finding new places. Also, going on a lot of walks. Now, I can't stand sitting at home much, even if the weather isn't exactly nice. Story 10. I have found myself in a situation where I was forced to act. My family got evicted from our house as we couldn't afford the mortgage anymore. My dad tried to kill himself and more. At that point, I gathered the last money I had, roughly €300, moved to another country, slept on the floor of a friend's house, and worked hard in a bar for 12 hours a day. 6 years later, I am working in a managerial position at a big company. From nothing, now I'm earning 70,000 yearly, helped out my family a bit, and am about to buy a house. The bottom line is, when I hit rock bottom, I stopped crying and started acting. With time, hard work paid off. Story 11. Basically, lack of motivation comes from an overstimulated brain. Simply put, you should limit or give up altogether using pornography, internet, cigarettes, and coffee. Start working out, and I don't mean exhaust yourself in the gym, just do running for 10 minutes a day, meditation, and sleep well. I know it sounds like 2 + 2 = 4, but if you actually try it, you will be shocked at how life will change. Story 12. Got divorced. Eat healthy. Joined the gym. I got a personal trainer. Then got the gym bug. Got addicted. Started getting fit. Lots of energy from supplements and microdosing. Life turned around. Ready to meet new and interesting people now. Story 13. I stopped smoking marijuana. Among other changes in my life, this was the one that I absolutely did not want to give up, but also has had the greatest impact. Smoking didn't really cause any issues, but rather made me complacent with the issues I already had. By taking away what made me satisfied with my life, I was able to work towards activities that truly made me happy. Story 14. Getting a living wage and not working myself to death. And I'm saying this realizing that it's something not entirely in many people's control. It's so important though, and why I really advocate that everyone, regardless of their job, gets a living wage. It's so hard to get motivated when you work very hard and get just barely enough to survive in return. Story 15. It changed after my wife got pregnant with our first child. I was in an easygoing mode before that, but once it dawned upon me that I am bringing a new person into the world who I am responsible for, my whole outlook changed. I started helping my wife with more chores, and most importantly, I began working hard to earn more. Nothing in my life earlier had motivated me like this. Story 16. Oh man, this is hard. You've got to look at where you are and realize it sucks. Then you look at where you want to be and start taking the steps to get there. It's the only way that ever works, and none of it is easy. It worked for me once to get a notebook and write down the things I have to do, adding things as I go, basically. Took me months to get to the bottom of my to-do list, but it worked. Story 17. The current pandemic actually caused me to have the best time of my life. In the beginning of 2020, I quarantined myself for 2 weeks and left my university city to move back to my parents. I only had online classes. Before that, I was a fat sloth. Sure, I managed to get through my classes, but any other time of the day I'd sit on my couch binging shows, drinking beer, and eating fast food. I have a very good relationship with my mother, and when I came back, she was kind of surprised how much weight I gained. She wanted to lose some weight as well, so we made a pact. She'll pay for food, but I have to cook. I bought some cookbooks from Weight Watchers and our journey started. In addition to that, I made the best investment of my life. I bought a cheap television and an exercise bike. 4 times a week, I'd spend half an hour training while watching my beloved TV shows. I made a rule for myself that I could only watch them if I was spinning my legs. Legs stop moving, show stops playing. A year went by, and now I lost 33 pounds and train 1.5 hours twice a week with one body workout if I have spare time. I'm eating healthy, home-cooked meals and a small treat in the evening. It never felt hard because I started small, but slowly over time, I got fitter and healthier. Instead of using my car to drive 1 mile to the grocery shop, I now walk to it happily. I feel amazing. I'm waking up in the morning without an alarm clock and immediately wanting to stand up and start the day. I gained so much confidence because I can now move my body with actual power. Walking isn't exhausting. I can squat down without being out of breath when standing up again. 3 hours of work in the garden is actually fun. Oh, and I can wear my old clothes again. The icing on the cake is that I started singing and playing the guitar, and I don't suck at it. I recorded myself and showed the clip to my friends who complimented me on how happy I look. This pandemic sucks, but I think it gave me back some decades of my lifetime. Story 18, multiple things, but I read a book called Mastery by Robert Greene, and for whatever reason, it just motivated me. Eventually, though, I realized setting goals is the key to everything for me. Without small and large goals, I get depressed, fat, and unfit. I used to think the whole, write down what you want to accomplish today, thing was a lot of nonsense. But it isn't. Put even 2 things you want to achieve today in the notes on your phone, tick them off, then do whatever you usually do. Repeat that, and I think it's almost impossible that you won't become more productive. Feels good once you get the ball rolling. Story 19, heartbreak. And apparently, it is the most motivational thing ever. As far as I know, most men either become gym buddies or start working on cars. I chose the first one and have lost about 90 pounds in the last year, lifting weights 4 to 6 times a week and completely redid my eating habits. Now, I'm closing in on 225 pounds and trying to hit 190 within the end of the year. Before that, I just played video games and drank energy drinks when I was not working. Now I can't live without my lifting and active lifestyle. It really is addictive. People always told me that being active could be something you couldn't live without. I thought they were joking. That sounded ridiculous, but it was true all along. Go get it, buddy. One step at a time.